Hey there, this is Schwermetallisch, and I'm sitting here with Geoff Coran of the band Primordial Serpent. Hey Jeff.
How's it going?
Oh, it's strange weather here in Germany. It's like it looks totally like autumn. Leaves are dying, and everything is fine and colorful for Halloween. But it's way too warm. We have, I think, 19 degrees Celsius here, and it's very strange.
Oh, you want to trade? I got like 9 degrees Celsius here.
Of course,
Okay.
I will trade that in a minute because it's with 19 degrees, it's way too hot for my leather jacket, and I'm waiting all year to wear this goddamn thing. So I trade in a blink of an eye. So yeah, Jeff, Primordial Serpent is a black metal project. You are the sole master of everything in this project. And what is it? The fifth entry in the band's discography in just 1 year?
Yeah, if you're counting, actually, if you're counting the split that I did with Hell Moon and Father of the Abyss, I think it's actually technically the 6th entry, but it's my 4th full-length album.
So yeah, my audience is I don't know how many of you guys and girls and folks overall listen to black metal. It's not the genre I'm yeah talking much about, because I'm not listening to all the black metal stuff that's going out. Mostly it's underground power metal, US metal, and doom, thrash. So in case, I don't know, people don't have Primordial Serpent on the radar, can you please tell us a bit about the concept of the band and yeah, what your lyrical themes are for your entries?
Well, initially when I made Primordial Serpent, it was actually to help me get through the COVID pandemic, because with my main band, Dojo Cobra, being on hiatus, which was just like a local drone doom metal act that I was a part of, I needed something to occupy my time. So one day I was just kind of writing riffs, and then I ended up writing some songs that were based around the video game series Dark Souls. That's where Primordial Serpent was taken from. And from there, I just wrote a collection of songs, got in touch with a label that was following me on my Dungeon Synth music project, Calamite, and they were wanting to release it. I sent it around to a couple promotional channels, and from there, it just kind of took off.
So you're kind of busy. When I'm looking at what you released since last year, that's a lot.
Yeah, it's just one of those things where if I'm sitting down and I have my guitar in front of me and I have a riff and an idea, I just develop on that. And once that creativity process just kicks in, you can't stop. You just need to get everything out as much as you can. And then eventually you'll end up with about 6 or 7 tracks, and then your brain goes, I got enough for a release. I'll put it out.
It's like a creative bloodletting.
Yeah, it's like the effect of writer's block, but just the exact opposite.
Open the floodgates. Yeah, I can imagine it. But after, I don't know, a few hours, it's like okay, I'm pretty done now. I might I don't know, lay down and sleep a bit or do something else, but not what I did for 3 or 4 hours now to recharge the batteries.
Yeah, and it's actually funny too, because I made a post on my Instagram after I made Winter Warriors saying that I was going to quit making music for the rest of the year. And then September came around, and I was like, hey, remember the part where I said I was not going to make music for the rest of the year? Well, I made music again.
I lied.
Yeah, I lied. Sorry.
Yeah, it's like an addiction. So,
It's
yeah,
an addiction.
what?
It's an addiction that's worth feeding. So
Yeah, and I think that is one of the very few addictions that might not get you into trouble.
Yeah, exactly.
That is really good during a pandemic. If an artist says, I got to, I don't know, write and record 60 albums in 2 years because I'm dying if I'm not doing it.
Yeah.
So what are the lyrical themes you're writing and singing about?
Well, on Ascension of the Dark Age, it was based around Dark Souls lore. And on Father of the Abyss, it was kind of half and half Dark Souls lore and like my own imagination and thoughts on, um, I guess, like on different like fantasy inspired settings. Um, Ancient Myths and Legends was entirely based around Norse mythology, and Winter Warrior was based around my own personal experiences and how I deal with winter every year, along with some like stories that kind of relate to like winter myth tales, like based in like one song was based in Inuit culture, and one song was based around like Norse mythology once again. And one song was also based around a character from a movie called Dark Wolf from the movie Fire and Ice.
The old animated movie.
Yep.
I know that one. I think every European metalhead knows that movie.
Well, it's got Frazetta's art, and if you know Frazetta, his a lot of his art's been used for like metal bands and stuff like that. And I think even his one of his relatives, I'm not so sure if it's like his nephew or his son, I think did art for like a lot of like the Manowar albums as well.
I don't know about that, but I will have to Google it.
I think, yeah, I read something about that. I can't remember who it was, but like a lot of people drew a lot of inspiration from Frazetta's art. So
Yeah, he made album art for Danzig.
yeah,
And the Death Dealer character, of course. So that I think a lot of people in heavy metal are very familiar with Frazetta's work and Simon Bisley,
mhm,
naturally.
yeah,
And if you're a comic fan too, you might as well add John Buscema for drawing Conan in the 70s and 80s. Of course, that's a really kick-ass artist. Did a good Silver Surfer too. So you mentioned that one album is about you dealing with winter every year. Does it mean you enjoy winter, or does it mean you are one of the poor persons that suffer from winter depression?
I do suffer from winter depression actually, and most days I can get through it, and there's some days where it just really bums me out because I'm not outside much, I'm not in the sun as often. Um, but over the years, I've been taking steps to battle it, so the symptoms are less. And but they also I also just like singing about like the really harsh cold weathers of Manitoba, because a lot of people don't really know how cold Manitoba can get during the year, with it being a prairie-based region. Like we've had temperatures that reach anywhere between like -40 and -50 with wind chill.
That's like Russia.
Yeah, exactly, right. Um, so not everybody understands what it's like to experience cold, harsh winters. And I always kind of thought like, well, since a winter is always like a cool topic to sing about in metal in general, out of all the seasons, I don't know why, but it just is. I figured I'd take a stab at it and try and give my own perceptions on how I deal with winter and how I perceive winter in Manitoba.
Yeah, folks, it's Canada. Of course, It's cold. It's not called the Great White North for no reason.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you think that the Canadian government does such a good job with healthcare to compensate for for the very harsh winter month?
Well, I mean, I never really thought about that, but I mean, we do actually have a pretty decent healthcare system in general. So, but I'm not so sure if maybe someone should sign like some more creative petition to have increased awareness during the winter seasons. That would be nice. Um, but I mean, the healthcare system overall, when it comes to mental health, is actually pretty good. So I'm not going to complain about that.
Yeah, I don't know that much about Canada, aside from really good bands coming from your part of the world, and from Canadians being much less violent than Americans.
Well, ever since we legalized weed,
Yeah, I read about
we've been more since then.
and the comparisons from gun violence on Canada and America is quite it's an eye opener, so to say.
Yeah.
So I noticed that some of the lyrics of the first ones might hint at Dark Souls, but I am not a Dark Souls player because I get frustrated really fast. And
it is one of those where you really need to like learn how to like build certain classes to get good at it, and also kind of take advantage of like the best time to really play a Dark Souls game is when it comes out right away, because you'll have a ton of online players helping you fight boss battles, and then you can also get advice from people on how to fight them and whatnot. I was actually just playing the first one up until about 9:30 this morning because my friend kind of reeled me back into playing it again, and I haven't played the first one since like maybe 2013, 2014 or so. But it's, I'm not gonna lie, there were times where I belted out some pretty harsh curse words and shit.
Yeah, I think that Dark Souls did not only create a whole new gaming genre based on toughness and frustration. I think there's curse words that originated from playing that game.
Well, yeah, and actually, there's another Canadian band that actually took its name from the Dark Souls series. They're a death metal band called Tumult. And one of their albums, I think, was like, I think it was called Manner of Infinite Forms. I have the record somewhere, but I think the name was actually kind of inspired not by Dark Souls, but by Bloodborne. But they would have like song titles called Abyss Walker, which is from the Dark Souls video game. They had a song that was directly called Valley of Defilement, which is from like Demon Souls. So I was like, oh, one of these guys is a fan of the game.
At least one of those guys.
Yeah, actually, when they played here in Winnipeg, it was back in 2018 or 2019. It was one of those 2 years. I actually talked to one of the guys in the band that was selling the merch, and I said, so which one of you guys is the Dark Souls guy? And the one guy ashamedly went, like, yeah.
I could never get myself into playing these games because I know it's like you give me 5 minutes and I'm out. It's like, no, I can't. Maybe I throw the gamepad against the wall and it's $60 are gone. So I stay away from playing these games. But I think the whole aesthetic, that's right up my alley.
Yeah. The games aren't for everybody, but I mean, I enjoy them. I enjoy the lore behind them. Like, it's very cryptic and very esoteric, and the lore itself is pretty perfect for writing a black metal album about.
I don't know anything about the lore of those games, and I don't think I understood the lore of Bloodbound. It's like, yeah, what?
There's YouTube videos, they'll explain it.
Yeah, I will get into that, I think. So, aside from Primordial Serpent, you mentioned you get other projects. Will you indulge a bit in that and tell us about that?
Okay, so prior to Primordial Serpent, I had a dungeon synth project that I started back in 2019 called Calamite, and for many years I was doing like synth music just kind of as like a side hobby, and it was just like kind of like horror synth music, like very John Carpenter-esque, very like Vangelis inspired synth music. Got kind of bored of it, and one of my friends recommended dungeon synth. So first dungeon synth album I listened to was Dottie Balders by Burzum. Not the best choice. And then he recommended like a much better album called Tar Nu Fuin by a group called Thangorodrim. And I was like, yep, this is more up my alley. Yep, I'm digging this a lot. So a lot of my stuff was like heavily influenced from like that, and like in that project, like Thangorodrim, a little bit of Mortis, not a whole lot of Mortis. And there was a few other ones, one called Depressive Silence, another one called Secret Stairways. But it was very basically just like almost like black metal inspired dark wave synth. And I had a knack for making it.
The only band I listen to in that vicinity is like it's progressive synth, and they're called Bioplan. So one guy, and it's a mix of progressive metal, AOR, and synth music. It's really interesting.
It's called Bioplan?
Bioplan, yeah.
Oh, I'll have to check it out.
Yeah, it's on a label I'm part of. I'm working with. We guys are sitting in the Netherlands, and prog only, heavy prog stuff that only really proggy people can endure. It's sometimes like, hey, take a listen at this, and it's like, yeah, that's cool, but my brain is actually melting right now. So,
if your brain is melting listening to progressive music, that's usually a good sign. So,
I really like progressive music, but there's a very thin line between progressive music and full-blown avant-garde, and avant-garde is not up my alley, not my cup of tea.
one of my favorite bands is actually King Crimson. So, and I own their discography pretty much all the way from In the Court to I think their album in the 90s, Thrack, or no, up to Construction of Light. So, yeah.
I started with Spock's Beard. That was the first prog band I ever listened to. That is really Hammond organ heavy music with songs that are like for 15 minutes. And it was like, an eye-opener for me.
Well, I guess technically the first progressive rock band I started with me being in Canada, would have been Rush. But the first one that really got me into it, I think, was probably King Crimson. And there's bands like Dream Theater, and I think even like Symphony X is considered like progressive as well. And just an onslaught of just kind of bands like that kind of got me into like progressive metal. I haven't listened to it a lot of it as much, but those were kind of like my fallbacks in that genre.
So with the projects you mentioned, it was Dungeon Thin, and black metal, and you mentioned the band Death Doom.
Yeah, I had a drone doom metal band called
Drone Doom.
Yeah. Called Dojo Cobra, and basically it was basically a band that developed right here in my basement between my friend Tim and I. We were just playing random stuff on our instruments, and we said to each other as a joke, we should do this live and see what people's reactions would be. And they're like, okay, and we'll call the project Dojo Cobra. And I was like, perfect. Good job, Tim. Thank you. So, and so then I get a call from him or a message from him a few weeks later. So when are we doing Dojo Cobra? And I was like, oh, you're actually serious about making this? Okay. Come by next week. Okay, cool. So then for about 3 or 4 hours, we ended up just recording and mixing just like a very like sun worshipped inspired drone metal album.
Dojo Cobra sounds like a drone doom band that consists of people really digging Cobra Kai, the series.
You know what? It's actually kind of funny because when my friend said Dojo Cobra, he never actually had seen Karate Kid, and I assumed he got the name from Karate Kid. So I was like, so where did you come up with that name? And he was like, I don't know, it was just the first 2 words that came to my head. He was like, great, because everybody just thinks it's a reference to Karate Kid. He's like, really? Yeah, because the Cobra Kai Dojo. Oh, okay.
Yeah, and to everyone not knowing this already, that TV show is awesome. It really is.
I mean, I've seen Karate Kid 1 through 3 when I was younger, and the Cobra Kai, the show itself, is actually, yeah, it's pretty awesome. It's perfect balance between cheese, but doesn't go over the top with cheese. But then it also has moments of actual good character development. So.
And great music.
Oh yeah, absolutely, great music.
Yeah, it's amount of cheese that you're already comfortable with when you're a metalhead.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's just this. Oh, maybe it's going too cheesy, and then during a fighting scene, the background music kicks in, and it's a 5-minute long heavy metal guitar solo, and you think, yeah, okay, this measures the cheese right down to an acceptable level. And yes, I thought of season 3, the big fighting scene.
Okay. I've only seen the first 2 seasons, so I haven't gotten to 3 yet. So
there's a I think in every season you have one really big fight, like in the school in the what was it the first or it was the second season, and they are well made, I think.
They absolutely are, yeah.
And yeah, mark Christmas, because this year on Christmas season 4 starts, and they already greenlighted, I think, season 5 and 6.
And so the series is just going to continue forever then.
I think season 6 might be the last we're gonna see of Cobra Kai itself, because I don't know how they will keep up this level. It's pretty good. It was pretty good from the start, and I think it maybe will get harder to maintain this high level, this production level, and the level of writing and everything. But there will be spin-offs.
Yeah, I got to get back into watching that show again. So
it's great. So yeah, from the projects you mentioned, Drone Doom and Dungeon Synth and black metal, of course. That are not the funniest parts of the heavy metal scene. There's no US metal, no funny Hawaiian shirt wearing guys hopping around. So I think that means you're drawn to the darker parts of the metal scene.
Yeah, because I always kind of liked, I always kind of had an interest in wanting to read about like stuff about like the occult and like mythology and things like that. I mean, there are some bands I do listen to that are like some thrash bands and like punk bands and stuff I listen to that don't dive deep into the dark stuff, But I always just kind of I just had some sort of like natural attraction to stuff that kind of went like against the norm when it came to music, and singing about like the occult, and singing about mythology and even like fantasy works. I don't know. I just always thought that was a good fit for heavy metal.
I think it would be great for a death metal record. I always forget the name of that psycho, but there was the guy in the US with a murder hotel.
Yeah, that was either the. Are you talking about Cannibal Corpse in Florida? It was either one of the members from Cannibal Corpse in Florida. They went to that. He invaded his neighbor's house with like a knife or some sort of weapon or something like that. Is that what we're talking about, or?
No, there was a
I know that
some kind of serial killer who owned a hotel. It was in the, I think, the 30s or 40s in America, and it was a big building, and it had secret doors and chambers where he kept and tortured people and stuff like that. It was really over the top, crazy, batshit crazy stuff, and it really happened. And I think that would be a great concept for a death metal record.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I never heard anything about that. No, I thought you were talking about the things that was that in Florida? Because you mentioned. Did you say Florida? Because I for some reason I heard Florida for some reason.
No, the 40s, the 1940s.
40s. Okay, sorry.
Yeah, I'm mumbling. Sometimes I'm kind of mumbling my way through an interview because I'm not an Englishman.
No. So yeah, I don't know about that. But I'm not too familiar with a lot of history of American serial killers, other than like the well-known ones like Ted Bundy and what was his name, Jeffrey Dahmer, and all those kind of people. But I wouldn't be surprised with it being the United States. So, and I wouldn't be surprised if it was in Florida.
It was really like I read a lot about serial killers, but reading about this guy made me physically uncomfortable, and that was really like, okay, that's really fucked. Oh man. Yeah.
I'll look that up because I'm not too familiar with a lot of my serial killers from way back in the day. So
I will Google it and send you a link.
All right, sounds good.
No problem. I'm fast as fuck. So yeah, what are you up to next?
Just kind of taking a break from music for the next few months. Probably going to start writing again early next year, or maybe like late this year. Who knows? I do have some ideas, and I do have some thoughts up here triggering in my head, and I'm always got my guitar in my hand, just kind of experimenting with riffs and taking ideas from there. So who knows?
So you're a multi-instrumentalist. You do program your drums.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I use a plugin that's, I think when it was marketed, it was specifically for like death metal and black metal, and it was called I think it's either Urgatone or Ergotone. Cult Drums 2. I don't know how to pronounce it, but I haven't finished my coffee yet, so. But it's called either Ergotone or Urgatone Cult Drums 2 drum kit, and that's what I've been using. And it just has like an absolute sample of like samples of just like snare drums and kick drums and preset kits and all that other stuff. And I use that for my project. So
what is the main reason you are doing this all on your own?
I think it's just because when I make music, I have everything planned out in here, and it's just easier for me to get everything out myself rather than to have it to explain to other people to how to play certain parts and other such things. It's just easier for me just to kind of do everything myself. The other thing is that during the COVID pandemic here in Manitoba, we weren't able to have visitors at our house for like a good half year to like almost a full year. So I had no choice to do everything on my own as well. And the other thing is too is that I like self-producing my own music. It's fun for me, and I have everything mapped out in here on the way how I want it to sound. So it's just easier if I work by myself when it comes to doing my music than having somebody else or having like 3 or 4 other people on board with the music that I create.
Yeah, I can imagine it's really difficult for the brain of the band to explain stuff like the drums to a drummer.
Yeah,
I would feel like so ridiculous for saying, yeah, but I want that part to be kaboom, kaboom, kaboom. It's like that I will feel stupid to do that, and it's difficult, or to explain to the vocalist how he should sing to the main riff.
yeah, and that's the thing too. Like, and that's the thing with a lot of like one-man like black metal bands too, is that they kind of prefer to do all the work themselves, and kind of keep it to themselves because they don't want to be in a position where they feel like if they go on stage, that if something messes up, like they don't want to be in the position of having like being a control freak over their own products or music. And other times too, it's just that if they were to go on stage, it wouldn't feel the same because a lot of times these people would be hiring other people to do other parts while the main band leader would be kind of like in the background just playing 1 or 2 instruments, and it wouldn't really feel like a full-on it wouldn't feel like an authentic performance coming from the creator, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, of course. It's like what I'm always thinking about is when I'm reviewing stuff, I'm always struggling to really make out the bass, and that's due to many metal bands having 2 guitar players and 1 bass player, and if you want to fuck it to death, it's like, okay, let's add keyboards to that, so there's no chance in hell that anyone can notice the bass line. And I think if you're the only person in the band, you can make sure that every instrument is highlighted in a way that serves the song the best way. You can do that better than a whole band because there's only one ego involved.
Yeah, because a whole band would be like, well, I want my guitar to sound like this. Well, I want my drums to sound like this. Well, if your drums sound like this, it might cancel out the frequencies of your guitar, and it may make it sound metal. Well, I don't care about the guitars. I want my drums to sound like this. Okay, fine. Then the guitarist comes in. Well, why did my guitar sound flat? Because the drummer wanted the drums to sound like this. Well, now my guitar tone is not even there. Yeah, it's just easier for me just to produce everything myself. So.
Yeah, I think I totally get that, because if you're working alone, it's totally okay to be a control freak. If you're working in a band environment, everyone has to tone down their egos in order to achieve something, and you can do it better alone.
The way how I kind of describe it is like, it's like a painter with a canvas. Ableton, the program that I use, is my canvas. The guitars and instruments that are used, those are my paintbrushes. And when I'm working on my stuff, I prefer to be alone. I don't want, like, when someone's doing a canvas painting, they're working by themselves because they have everything up here, right? It's the same kind of mentality for me when I'm doing my music. It's I'm up here. These are the tools that I have. This is my canvas. Leave me the fuck alone.
Totally understandable from an artist's point of view. It's like a band is like a group project for school.
Yeah.
Everyone wants to be the highlight of the project. Everyone wants to shine, And when you do it all alone, the song material has to shine, not yourself, because you're obviously the only person involved in that stuff, so you shine anyways.
Yeah, and going back to Doja Cobra, which is actually a group effort, with it being a drone metal band, like 80 to 90% of our stuff is like basically based around improvisation. So there's no real competition in regards to having one member sound louder than another one. It's just basically we're trying to create like, you know, tone clusters and this wall of sound as much as we can. And
less pressure for you.
Yeah, and in that regards, that works great for someone like me. So that's why I like doing stuff like Doja Cobra, it's just kind of sort of improv. But for my own music, I like to keep it like I like to be the guy controlling everything because it's my music.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah, so that's it for today. I got no more questions left. Thanks for taking the time out of your Saturday, and yeah, wish you a nice. Yeah, it's like what it's like in Canada. It's 10:30 now.
Yeah, about that. Yeah.
Okay, so grab your second coffee, and I'm
just finished my first one here, so.
Yeah, I know. I will. I think I will do espresso now, and we have cake. My wife made cake, so it's cake and coffee for me, more coffee for you, and yeah, if you want to, we can talk if some more music is coming out from your side. Great.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Well, anyway, you take it easy.
Always.
Yeah. It was good talking with you.
It was. Bye-bye.